Hi, football fans. This is Crow from SportsCrapology.com, coming to you from our offices in Knoxville, Tennessee. Yes, it's that time again. The NFL draft is upon us. It's April 24th to 26th in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And we're here to talk to you about the quarterbacks that are in the draft today. There's 34 of them. The media will lead you to believe that if you don't have a superstar quarterback, if you don't draft him in the first round, you can't win a Super Bowl. That's a bunch of garbage. Jalen Hurts is not a great quarterback. I do not think he was drafted in the first round, and he won a Super Bowl. Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl. Trent Dilfer. There's lots of them. Nick Foles. A lot of guys that weren't drafted in the first round and weren't superstar quarterbacks. They were good quarterbacks, but not great. They were good that year, or some of them were just good, really good in that game. But anyway, we're going to talk about quarterbacks. There's 34 of them in the draft. The way we see it, Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback in the draft. And we have him ranked number one. Most places have him ranked number one. He does tend to walk backwards when he gets pressure instead of step up into the pocket, which is not good. And he does seem to have a hard time processing certain defensive looks. He's not completely ready for the NFL yet, but he's probably about 80 to 90% ready. So I would say that's better, much better than most quarterbacks. And he is our number one quarterback. Number two, we do have Cam Ward, like everybody else. He seems to be the same thing. He's a premier quarterback. He just needs to look at some of the looks. He's very mobile. He does step up into the pocket a little bit better, but he doesn't recognize all the defensive looks either. We have him second. We have Jackson Dart, number three, out of Mississippi. Yes, Jackson Dart. Lane Kiffin, you may hate Lane Kiffin and think he's a jerk, but he's actually a pretty good football coach. And if you played quarterback on one of Lane Kiffin's teams, you're actually a pretty decent quarterback usually. His quarterback from a couple of years ago, Kelly, is in Canada starting for a Canadian football team and doing quite well. And he usually can produce and coach some quarterbacks. I guess he learned from Steve Tequila Cesian. Then we think probably Kyle McCord could probably make it in the NFL. And Will Howard, the Ohio State quarterback that led them to the NCAA championship. We believe he could play quarterback in the NFL. He has a good arm. He's mobile. He can run. He played for Chip Kelly. He can go through his progressions pretty quickly. He's an NFL-type quarterback. I believe he's ready to make that step. Also, Curtis Rourke, the Indiana University quarterback. People might say, Indiana, they didn't play anybody. Okay, well, they didn't play anybody, but they were like a top five in offense in the country, not playing anybody. So, I mean, they played Michigan. Michigan wasn't a great team this year, but I think Michigan came out with, like 7 or 8 wins. They beat Ohio State. So, they beat Michigan. They beat a couple decent teams. And he was good at Ohio University before that. He was in the draft last year. He didn't get drafted, so he went back into college, played at Indiana. He's a big guy, 6'5". He's about 230. Good arm. He doesn't run very well. He's not as quick as Sanders or Cam Ward or some of the other quarterbacks in the draft. But I believe he reads defenses pretty well, goes through his progressions, has a very strong arm, and he's a very durable guy. I think Tyler Shaw might be able to make it out of Louisville. He's another big guy, 6'5", 225. He looked really good in the Senior Bowl. The Senior Bowl coaches were impressed with him. and so he may be able to make it there too. Quinn Ewers is in the draft. I don't like him, wouldn't draft him. Jason Milrose in the draft. I think he could probably play in the NFL, but he's going to need some coaching. I don't think he recognizes defenses very well. He tends to jump around, get jumpy feet. He tends to panic instead of just throwing the ball out of bounds and going to the next play. He tries to run and make a play out of it. I don't know. Riley Leonard's in the draft out of Notre Dame. He's still another prototypical 6'4", 220 quarterback. He went to Duke, went to Notre Dame, smart kid. He has kind of an average arm. He can run a little bit with the ball. He's not going to be able to run like that in the NFL because he's not fast enough. When he runs in the NFL, guys are going to get on him in like 0.4 seconds and hit him. Instead of in college, you can get down the field for like a couple seconds. I don't think he's going to make it as a starter. Kyle McCord, who started out at Ohio State and transferred to Syracuse, 6'3", 220. I think he can make it in the NFL. He played for Chip Kelly. I don't know who he played for at Syracuse, offensive coordinator, but he threw the ball all over the field. He set some records. He set some ACC records, I think, for passing. He can run a little bit too, I think he might make it. Dylan Gabriel's in the draft from Oregon. Don't really like him. He's 6 foot tall. He's kind of on the short side. He weighs 200. He was in the Oregon offense where you get rid of the ball in less than a second. In the NFL, it doesn't translate to the NFL very well. I know Oregon has put Bo Nix in the NFL. They put Justin Herbert in the NFL, and both of them worked out really well. But I don't think Dylan Gabriel, I wouldn't take a chance on him if I was an NFL team. There's a bunch of other quarterbacks in the draft, but I don't think that, they're even worth talking about. If you know who Donovan Smith is, the quarterback of Houston, he's in the draft. We'll go down the rest of the quarterbacks in the draft. Kevin Jennings from SMU, they had a very good season. He ran all over the place and kind of threw the ball around. You can't really do that in the NFL. You can run around for maybe 1 second and then someone hits you. Brady Cook from Missouri, not impressive. DJ Uiagalelei, who had a terrible year at Florida State. They had one of the worst years ever in the history of Florida State football. I don't know who's going to draft him. Max Brosmer out of Minnesota, very so-so quarterback. I wouldn't take a chance on him. KJ Jefferson, who I believe was once at Arkansas, was at Central Florida last year. He's a very so-so quarterback. He likes to run around too in circles before he throws the ball. Graham Mertz, Florida quarterback. Very kind of slow moving guy, not a great arm. Don't know. Garrett Green, West Virginia, he's in the draft. Another short guy, 5'11", 200 pounds, likes to run around. Will Rogers, the former Mississippi State quarterback who went to Washington in free agency, had a decent year at Washington. They didn't really have a great year, but he's 6'2", 216, not impressive. Hudson Card, the dunk quarterback, not impressive. I might take, if you got to have a dark horse quarterback, maybe Tommy Mellott, this guy. He went to Montana State. He was in that championship game. He lost to North Dakota State. But, I'd rather take a chance on him than, some of these other guys that are in the draft. Guy probably at least has some heart. Let's see, I don't even know why some of these guys are in the draft, but anyway. Like the Virginia Tech quarterback, Colin Schlee's in the draft, Dylan Morris of James Madison, Seth Hennigan, maybe out of Memphis. I could kind of see maybe inviting him to camp. Corey Bohannon, who started at South Florida, then went to BYU. And BYU did go undefeated for a long time, but it wasn't because of Corey Bohannon. Chandler Morris, North Texas. Jeff Sims of Arizona State, who didn't even play. Peyton Thorne, who was a terrible quarterback at Auburn. Spencer Petras is in the draft, the Utah State quarterback. Not very good. And the 34th quarterback in the draft is Drew Pine. I know he played, at Missouri for a while. And last year he played, where did he play? Missouri. Yeah, he's not good. Anyway. These guys, as far as quarterbacks go in the draft, you got Shedeur Sanders can play in the NFL, Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, probably Kyle McCord, Will Howard, Curtis Rourke, Tyler Shaw, and maybe Jason Milroe with a little work. And maybe Riley Leonard or Quinn Ewers with a little work. But the rest of them, I don't know why they're in the draft. They're not going to play quarterback in the NFL. I have no idea. Anyway, this is Crow for SportsCrapology.com. That's our review on quarterbacks that are in the 2025 NFL Draft. There's a lot of places out there with a lot of information on these guys you can read. If you're the Raiders out there and whatever his name is, Spytech, I suggest you draft Will Howard maybe in the 3rd or 4th round because he played for Chip Kelly, and you let him and Aiden O'Connell compete for the starting quarterback job in training camp, and forget about buying Sam Darnold or trying to trade for some high-priced quarterback or drafting Shedeur Sanders. I don't think you need to do that. You go for an edge rusher or an offensive tackle first. I don't believe in drafting, but you have to have a superstar quarterback. Anyway, this is Crow for Crow, SportsCrapology.com. Go to SportsCrapology.com website for information, and you can see us on YouTube at Sports Crapology. Thank you for watching. See you next time.